Hi y'all, welcome back to the garden. We had the eclipse today. I'll put a little footage on the screen. Happened very quickly, but it was fun to watch. So I took off work and we had some family over and had a little eclipse party. My dad came up this weekend and it's been a busy weekend, so I didn't shoot a whole lot of footage. There wasn't a whole lot of gardening activity that went on, but we got a door installed in the barn actually, so it'll be easier to use in winter and without having to open the big garage doors and letting all of the heat that may be trapped in the barn out, which is nice. I also brought out my ferns I had tried to overwinter. I think they're still alive. They look pretty rough, but we don't have any freeze for the next 10 days based on right now's weather conditions or weather forecast. So I don't think we've passed our last frost. It would be very unusual to have our last frost this early, but it's entirely possible. Those last frost dates are averages, and so sometimes they come early, sometimes they come late. But I would still encourage you to hold out, because just as a couple of years ago, we had a frost a month from now. So I'm, of course, not getting any of my annuals earlier. It'll be nice because I'll be able to get outside more in the evening after work to get some things done. My project this coming week is going to be edging the front flower bed and preparing for all the perennials that are coming this month. Here are the ferns. You can see there's a little sprig of green in there maybe, but they look really rough. I cut them back in the fall before I put them away. And this 𝗖𝗢𝗗𝗘𝗢𝗧 is getting buds on it that I picked up from 𝗧𝗛𝗜𝗍𝗍𝗧 a couple weeks ago, so that's neat. We did get several posts installed for water hose reels. So there'll be one on the back here. And then I think we put in 5 posts. Maybe we put in 4. I think we put in 4 because I still got to decide where the others are going. So there's one there and that'll be painted black. All of them will be painted black so they just kind of blend in. And then one in the vegetable or the cut flower garden down there is prepared. These are they're called 𝗗𝗓𝗃 or something. I'll have to put the name on the screen. But these are a proven winners variety, and I don't remember the name. I got them from Great Garden Plant several years ago, and they've been blooming for a while, the past couple weeks, and they produce a tiny little berry that tastes kind of like a blueberry. And they're actually really good. And I like them because they're easy to grow in the ground here. We can't grow blueberries very well in the ground because we don't have acidic soil here. It's usually more alkaline. And they're really good. I've never got a big yield out of them. I dug them up from my last home because I'd had them for a couple years. You can see how tiny they are because I grew them from like one little quart plants from 𝗏𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠𝒠 because you can't find these locally. And they're doing really good with the transplant. I planted them here together. Having 2 of them will, of course, allow them to produce a little more fruit. So I'm excited to get lots of berries off of these, I hope, this year. In the backyard here, I put a big 6x6 post, and that will also be painted black. And what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to put hanging baskets on either side at the top, but I'm also going to be putting a hose reel here and a dog automatic watering system here for the dogs that'll give them fresh water all the time when they're outside playing. That'll be nice instead of having a bowl sitting around somewhere that I'll have to refill. And I'll eventually be edging a little bit around this. I don't know what the design is going to look quite yet for this back area, but I imagine a bed coming out here, and it's probably going to be filled with rock eventually. I may put a little bit of mulch around this just so it's easier to mow until that idea fully comes to fruition. But I want to bring this out a little bit and plant down it or expand it a little bit so there's not such of a small sidewalk area here. Eventually, maybe a short patio with a pergola over it that's a little shade for the pool area would be nice. And then, of course, down here at the end of the pool area, I actually want to build a short little wall, a black wood wall, which I've been thinking about maybe 3 to 4 foot tall, all the way down here, and hang planters on the front of it. And I think that would be really cute to grow flowers down And then I've got two quick-fire fab hydrangeas planted on either end here that I gotta dig beds in as well this way. I'm looking to figure out some more furniture for the pool area. I haven't thought about it a whole lot, not a big priority early this spring. We do have some Adirondack chairs and stuff, but I want to make it beautiful in the space, but also functional for guests we have that come swim. I know we're approaching mid-April, but it seems weird to me for it to be warm this early, because it has been much warmer than usual, earlier than usual. I've got some beautiful Purissima blonde tulips blooming up here, which I think are the only tulips I planted this year. And I almost missed them because all of the daffodils that were here and planted kind of by the previous owner that had spread, and I'm going to be dividing and spreading around after they bloom out, which is almost right now. I'll probably wait another month till they start dying down. The tulips kind of mixed in with the white, and I almost missed them. But here they are. Aren't they beautiful? I really like those. So I don't know how well they'll come back next year. We'll leave them and see what they do, but I planted 3 little groupings here. But you can see all of these huge daffodil clumps that will be spread around after the blooming finishes. I'm hoping I can remove this brace from this Crimson Century maple this year. I did replace it with a black string, so it looks a little better, but it may be a little better rooted in and able to hold up. It was, as a skinny tree, a lot of these skinny trees, when you initially plant them, need some type of support. It's not always recommended to provide support to trees when you plant them, but some varieties you just have to, or they'll grow crooked. And this is a very upright tree that doesn't get terribly wide. So we have lots of winds that come this direction. We're on the home, and it was a priority to get this planted because I planted it in the fall, hadn't rooted in very much, and it was starting to lean a little bit from all the winds we were having. It's got some really big buds on it, but it's not waking up. Looks like they're starting to come out a little bit there. It's not waking up quite as quickly as some of the other maples yet. And we're starting to get leaves on the red points that I planted down at the end of the driveway. Like I said, still early though, so still got a while for things to come in. I did plant some of these daffodils that just started blooming a little later, and I don't remember the name. I feel like 𝗬𝗓𝗏 is a name that I can remember, or there's a similar variety to that, but I really love them. They're double and they're holding themselves up really well. Normally with double daffodils, sometimes you'll get a lot of flopping, but these are really beautiful. And everywhere they're planted, I planted 3 groupings there and 3 groupings over here. They're holding themselves up really nicely. The Japanese maples and some of the dogwoods are starting to put leaves on them. So this is, which one? This is stellar pink, I think. Yeah, variegated stellar pink. So it will fill, it's a smaller dogwood and it'll fill the space eventually. It's gonna be pretty tiny this year, so I'm probably gonna be filling in with a lot of annuals or perennials. Those are good things to plant in this area until this tree grows up and casts a little more shade. So that is something I'll be filling. This is a pretty good space here, probably 10 by 10 or 10 by 15, because it's a little more rectangular. And of course, a lot of the things I planted are tiny this year, so there'll be a lot of space to fill in. And what I was most excited about was we got the rose arbor fully planted. Dad come out here, or fully cemented in, and helped me cement that in. We did put little blocks behind it for spacing. So these are 4-inch 2x4s, and I drilled a hole through them and just put a zip tie to keep the trellis perfectly like 4 inches against the wall or away from the wall all the way around. And I will replant the roses that I dug up down there from the bottom this week. I was wanting to make sure it cemented in really good and it was sturdy. Got this shovel holding it up from yesterday, but because this is such a heavy structure, I wanted to make sure it was secure before I replant under it. And I think it's looking really good, nicely even against this wall here, perfectly center. I think it's about 24 inches from either side, and it's almost 24 to the top too. So it'll be really beautiful with the roses that I'm planting on it. And those are Rise Up Ember Rays. So they're climbing rose, but they're not a super vigorous, crazy climber. They can be maintained, from my understanding, into maybe like a shrub form, but if you let them go, they will become a short climber. So they're really beautiful, and it's going to be really striking orange yellow color against the wall here. Let's take a look at this Midnight Express Redbud. The blooms haven't completely opened, but look how dark. I don't know if you would consider, I know in the flower world, they're considered calyxes, these little dark purple things behind the pink blooms, but those are really dark and really nice color before the even blooms arrive. My niece put a little total solar eclipse sidewalk chalk while they were here earlier, but the garden's looking beautiful and waking up nicely. Still a long way to go, and there will be a lot of transformation in the next really 30 days. It's going to be quite incredible, I think, how much gets done. So this coming week is going to be expanding this garden bed that I was talking about earlier and bringing it up to right here in a nice gentle curve back towards that 𝗧𝗛𝗧𝗦 juniper. So got the grass cut. I'll cut it a little lower in preparation of preparing this bed with the push mower this week. And I might bring you along for that project. I think I'm going to go grab a water hose and lay out a curve a couple days in advance. This is what I like to do when I'm designing garden beds. Just lay out a water hose and make your curves nice and gentle. Look at it for a few days, and if you like it, commit to it and move on. So I'll go do that before it gets dark tonight. Thank you guys for joining me this evening on the day of the eclipse. I hope you were able to see it where you are. If you weren't, I hope you enjoyed the little footage that I provided. Thanks for joining me, and remember, be a light. Take care.